Welcome to the deep dive. You've handed us a stack of sources this time that really pushes against the boundaries of how we normally think about consumer goods.
It really does.
We are not talking about supply chain logistics or, fast fashion trends.
Not at all.
We are diving deep into the claims of BKLEO Clothing, a brand that positions itself not as a simple fashion label, but as a deliberate tool for personal transformation, for mindset mastery.
It's a fascinating area where branding meets, well, behavioral psychology. Most of the clothing industry historically serves a pretty clear social purpose.
Right. It helps you fit in. It signals status.
Exactly, through a trend or a logo, or it just, covers you. But the source material for BKLEO claims to go way beyond that. They say they focus entirely on meaning, on igniting who you are becoming.
And they are very clear about who their audience is, too. They explicitly state they were built for the dreamers, the doers, and the overcomers.
Mm-hmm.
And this leads right into the central, really bold question that these sources force us to ask. Can a piece of clothing, like a hoodie, genuinely help you become your best self?
And the brand's internal answer, which is what we're here to analyze, is a completely unequivocal absolutely.
Right.
Their argument is elegantly simple. While transformation demands internal work, the right physical reminder, the right wardrobe, acts as a powerful, constant reinforcement.
A reinforcement of a mindset that is already in the process of changing.
Exactly.
Which means our deep dive today isn't about, fabric blends or seasonal colors. It's about extracting the specific claims and the psychological mechanisms this brand says it uses.
To make that link between the textile and genuine self-improvement.
Okay, let's unpack this then. This isn't about aesthetics. It's about, declaring your intention.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. And we should probably start with the brand's identity itself, because the name BKLEO is framed as a foundational blueprint for that whole transformation process.
That's right, yeah. They've essentially baked the before and after narrative right into their title. The BK, or Before King, that represents the grit, the struggle,
The battle scars.
the person you were when you started the journey. It's an acknowledgement of the hard work.
It's the grounding element. It validates that past struggle, which is so crucial for identity formation. And then you have the transition to the LEO,
The lion.
which they clearly define as the lion, yeah? It represents strength, confidence, the inevitable rise. It's a promise of what all that struggle actually leads to.
It's a brilliant piece of psychological marketing, really,
Mm-hmm.
because it ties the product not just to a future success state, but to the entire journey. The struggle, the BK, is just as important as the triumph, the LEO.
It gives the wearer permission to acknowledge where they came from.
Yeah.
And this whole foundation supports their core philosophy, which is that wearing the clothing isn't about covering up who you are. It's an active daily. It's a declaration of your aspirational mindset.
A declaration.
Every single piece is crafted with what they call purposeful messaging, designed to help you, the wearer, step into your chosen power.
And the messaging is, it is anything but subtle. It's designed to hit you with these high-impact, almost manifesto-like statements.
Oh, absolutely.
Take some of these specific examples the sources highlight. Building empire, one dream at a time. That's a claim of ongoing, intentional effort.
Or that commitment to resilience you see in something like fearless to the bone, nothing breaks me. These are statements that just reject vulnerability.
But I think maybe the most intense example we found, the one designed to totally separate the wearer from the norm, is that slogan, not human, willpower.
Yes.
That one strikes me because it's using hyperbole to enforce discipline. It's
Yeah.
meant to make you feel distinctly separate from the mediocrity of an average struggle.
It completely shifts the conversation. You're no longer a passive consumer of fashion.
Right.
You're now an active participant in an identity project.
Right.
And that's the key insight. The messages aren't external pleas for attention. They are intended to be internalized anchors. You aren't dressing for the world. You are dressing for the you that is rising.
Okay, so if the name is the blueprint, the map of the journey, then we absolutely have to dig into the claimed mechanism. How does this physical garment become the engine that drives the transformation?
This is where we need to put on our sort of critical psychology hats,
Yeah.
because the theory that BKLEO puts forward is, on the surface, elegantly simple, but it's also potentially quite powerful.
And that is, repetition creates belief. But I mean, is that really enough to explain personal change?
Well, the brand argues it is the essential building block. They explain that the mechanism works because of continuous self-exposure to the identity you want. This isn't just a random quote on a shirt, it's a form of powerful cognitive reinforcement.
We can actually connect this to a well-studied concept. It's called identity congruence theory. And basically it says that people prefer their outward behaviors and their appearance to match their internal sense of self. So if you actively wear an identity that says, I am disciplined and successful, your brain is constantly looking for ways to make your actions match that declaration.
Precisely. The clothing acts as that physical external anchor. Every time you catch a reflection or even just feel the shirt against your skin and remember the slogan, it's like a micro dose of reinforcement.
A microdose. I like that.
So if you're wearing something that says, man on a mission, legend to be made, that repeated visual priming, it just works to chip away at self-doubt.
It effectively weaponizes the mirror.
It does.
The sources note that every time the wearer looks at their clothing, they get that internal jolt. I'm not average, I'm ascending. It's a mandatory form of self-talk, not one you have to consciously remember to do.
And that tangibility is so crucial. Internal affirmations can be fleeting, they require energy, but the clothing is always there, pushing against that natural human tendency toward just being passive.
The slogans interrupt the self-defeating thoughts. They force a kind of confrontation.
Exactly.
It's interesting to see how the brand talks about the physical product itself. They acknowledge the comfortable fit and the soft premium material they have to as a high-end brand.
Of course.
But then they immediately pivot. They say something like, the comfort is there, but the energy, that's where the power lives.
And that distinction is so intentional. They are selling internal validation and psychological reinforcement, all wrapped in comfort. The physical quality is just the packaging for the real product, the motivational energy.
Yeah, it keeps the focus squarely on the mindset mechanism. And the range of slogans they use is massive. They seem to target different motivational gaps. We talked about not human, willpower, but you also have more strategically focused statements.
Think which ones?
Like fear of failure cancels barriers, which totally reframes a negative emotion into an engine for progress.
And then you have the simple, utterly declarative ones, like just built different.
Right.
That slogan assumes this non-negotiable level of inherent quality. When you wear that, you are performing a constant act of self-belief through your style. It is all about embodying the message through that continuous visual reinforcement.
Okay, so if the mechanism is built on repetition, we need to move on and see what the sources claim are the real-world results. They emphasize that they haven't just built a customer base, but a community of aligned individuals.
A very large one. They cite a significant claimed footprint. BKLEO Clothing is presented as a community of over 12,000 people.
12,000.
And they've all reportedly stepped into a new version of themselves. The sheer scale of that number, as cited in the sources, is clearly intended to serve as social proof for the effectiveness of the process.
And to ground these abstract claims, the source material leans really heavily on specific cited testimonials, which I should add, they explicitly say are unpaid and are authentic proof of transformation.
We should probably look at the themes in those quotes because we saw three very distinct types of claims here. First, there's Marcus J. He focuses on the reinforcement of agency. He says wearing the clothing reminds him he's stronger, more focused, and proud of his growth.
So that's validation tied directly to achievement and forward motion.
Exactly. Then you have the testimonial from Ashley R., which centers more on purpose.
Right. She claims the pieces make her feel like she's stepping into her defined purpose, which suggests the brand helps articulate an internal mission.
It clarifies it. And finally, you have Daniel K., who speaks to what I would call retrospective pride, reflection.
He says that putting on a hoodie feels like reminding himself of how far he's come.
Yes. The clothing becomes a marker of past success, which then fuels future motivation. It completes the circle.
So if we synthesize these claims, we can clearly outline the 4 core offerings that BKLEO says it provides. And this moves it far beyond just buying a t-shirt. This is the analysis you sent us here to extract.
Right. So number 1 is purposeful design. The clothing is physically built to convey strength. Number 2 is empowering messaging. The slogans provide constant psychological instruction. Number 3, premium comfort, which is the foundation that makes wearing the whole mechanism easy and desirable. And number 4, the ultimate deliverable, identity alignment.
That synthesis, it really confirms the core proposition.
Yeah.
They're selling alignment and transformation,
Yeah.
and they're just using apparel as the delivery mechanism,
The clothing acts as the bridge.
the bridge between the wearer's current state and their aspired state.
And this business model seems to be hitting a nerve. The sources claim the brand is catching fire in 2025, and they offer a pretty clear explanation for why that is, rooted in consumer macro trends.
They argue that the reason for this rapid ascent is that people are fundamentally tired of wearing clothes that mean nothing.
Mm.
This points to a broad cultural shift, doesn't it? A demand for products, especially those worn publicly, to carry some philosophical weight, some personal significance.
People are moving from passive consumption to intentional self-declaration.
And this desire for intentional identity reinforcement seems to cut across the entire demographic spectrum they say they serve.
Yeah, they cite everyone. Users ranging from students needing focus to CEOs seeking motivation, creatives, parents, all of them seeing people find alignment through style.
Which connects back to their grandest claim of all.
Yeah.
This is not just fashion. This is evolution.
It is.
They position becoming your best self as this project that requires constant intentional effort, and they assert the wardrobe could be one of the most powerful, persistent tools in that whole process.
And the brand has even segmented its product line to target different psychological stages of that transformation journey. It's not one-size-fits-all motivation.
Exactly. For someone who is, stuck in hesitation and needs a push toward that initial action, the source highlights the why not tee.
Ah, for stepping into boldness.
Designed for stepping into boldness, exactly. That's low commitment motivation.
But if you're already past that initial step, they have items that speak to the ongoing struggle.
Like the Building My Best Self hoodie, which targets those currently in the messy, demanding process of transformation.
Right, the middle part of the journey.
And then, for the true iconoclasts, the ones who reject conventional boundaries, there's the Air 404, Path Not Found, Create Your Own Shirt.
That is so specific.
It's explicitly marketed toward the trailblazers, people who define success outside of established norms. They really are positioning each item as a status marker for a specific psychological state.
It all just brings us back to their central mission, doesn't it? The mantra that unifies every product and every testimonial. Wear your transformation, wear your mindset, wear your mission.
That perfectly summarizes this deep dive. We've analyzed a brand whose entire premise revolves around shifting fashion from a passive, aesthetic choice to an active, tangible, repetitive tool for identity formation.
For personal growth.
Yeah. The claim is that clothing must serve as a constant reminder of one's mission.
And the brand's final directive is the same as their initial promise. Wear your mindset, become your best self. This is BKLEO. It all relies on that powerful psychological mechanism of self-reinforcement through external anchors.
And this brings us to our closing thought, based purely on the framework the source material has given us. If we accept the brand's premise that repetition creates belief, and that external material objects can powerfully reinforce identity, if that is true, then it raises an important question for you, the listener. What hidden subconscious messages are already built into your current unexamined wardrobe, and how are they impacting your focus and your sense of self today?
Reflect on the messages you are already wearing, and we'll see you for the next deep dive.